And we are live, I think. Good evening, everyone. Audra Santa here with the Gord Downey and Chani Wenjack Fund. We're just having a couple of technical difficulties, so we were trying to line the conversation up with Kevin Hearn. Kevin will be joining us in just a couple of minutes. When I see him pop in that stream, I will add him in. Hope everyone's having a great evening. I am here in Toronto, and this is our first evening session for DWF Live. Usually we're going live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which has been great. But for this special session, we were able to get Kevin Hearn on board, and we're so excited to be able to talk with him tonight. If you don't know Kevin, you might be familiar with the band he plays in, the Bare Naked Ladies. He has also been the musical director for Lou Reed, and he was a good friend of Gord Downey's and was a big part of the Secret Path project. He also recorded another album with Gord that he'll be telling us about. And Kevin also was part of the Secret Path Live restaging of the show in 2019. So very exciting. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Drop a comment in the box there. I would love to know where you're tuning in from. If you are watching live on Facebook, know that you can actually hit start a watch party, and all your other friends will be able to come in and watch with you. You can post some comments or questions in the comment box here, and I'll show those to Kevin, and you can become part of the conversation. So just before I bring Kevin in, I see him there in our stream. Oh, wait, hello from Chicago. Sorry, I got excited. International viewers. Wonderful. So Kevin, he's best known as the multi-instrumentalist from the Bare Naked Ladies, multi-platinum selling band. He's been playing with them for over 2 decades, but as I mentioned, he's also played with many others and worked with many different producers. He has his own solo project as well. Kevin is just such a beautiful, kind-hearted soul, and also has been doing some really great work with our organization. And today I even watched the documentary There Are No Fakes, which is about when he purchased what he thought was an original Norval Morrisseau, discovered that it wasn't, and then followed down the rabbit hole to find out some very difficult truths about some art fraud trade there. So yeah, Kevin, we are so excited to see you. There you are. You all set up? Give me a thumbs up and I'll bring you on in. Yes. All right. Kevin Hearn, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you.
You too.
Can we
Hi,
hear you
everybody.
there?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. I can hear you. We have a few people tuning in from all over the place. We have some friends from Florida. We have Cleveland here. Mississauga's in the nuke of the credit.
Hi, Mark.
Longtime fan here. Wow, this is awesome. Linwood, Ontario. Hello, everyone. So good to see you. Yeah, Kevin, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm here in my home, my studio, my rehearsal space, and now venue and dressing room, all in one.
All of the things, yeah.
Yes.
It's been an interesting time. We've been kind of rolling our lives into one room, one place, or one computer.
Yeah. How are you doing with it all?
Good. You know what? Every time I've done a pre-interview with artists for this, I say I'm very grateful to have a reason to put on real clothes and makeup 3 times a week. Makes me feel like life's carrying on in a little bit more of a normal way.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah, I'll ship some over to you. Makes you feel great. You feel like a new person.
Thank you.
So Kevin, you know, you and I first met during Secret Path Live. There was a restaging of Secret Path Live at the end of last year.
Yeah, October 19th.
Yeah, and that was such a powerful show. We were so grateful to have you and Kevin Drew involved as well, and all of the Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists who were part of that show. It was so powerful.
It was a very special night. It'll be something I'll remember always as one of my favorite artistic, musical, and emotional events And who would have thought back then in October that we'd be in a reality now where there are no shows, where we can't even get together in a room and enjoy music together, or even get together with your bandmates. It's just so strange.
Yeah, it really is.
So
Just
it makes me savor the whole thing even more. And as I was preparing for this interview and sort of thinking about it and remembering all the memories, uh, and not just that night, but of course the first Secret Path shows with Gord, a lot of memories and a lot of emotions came back.
yeah, yeah. It your heart was so close to the project from the beginning, and being a friend of Gord's as well. Because
Gord was a brilliant friend, a brilliant person, and a brilliant friend. So I'd like to make a toast to him, to the man who walks among the stars.
yeah.
I first worked with Gord in, it was on this record, Coke Machine Glow. And, oh, I have it upside down, sorry.
And that was just an internet trick.
It was recorded in May of the year 2000. And at the time, I was recovering from a bone marrow transplant. I had been fighting leukemia, which is blood cancer. And I was just sort of being able to get back into life and feeling normal and being myself. And got a call from Gord, who, we were friends, but we didn't see each other all the time. But when we did see each other, we always had a nice connection. And that's the first time I met Josh Finlinson as well, who has remained a good friend. And so the song Chancellor off that record, if you haven't heard it, it's one of my favorites.
It's beautiful. Yeah. For those who are tuning in and who might have come in because you're one of the Bare Naked Ladies fans and you follow Kevin Hearn's music, Kevin's referring to Gord Downey of the Tragically Hip, who was an iconic storyteller and singer. And our organization, the Gord Downey and Chani Wenjack Fund, focuses on carrying on his legacy. His last project was called Secret Path, and it told the story of Chani Wenjack, a 12-year-old Indigenous boy who was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children who were taken away from their families and put into Indian residential schools. And Chani tried to run away from school and didn't make it home, unfortunately. He died of exposure and was found on the train tracks. And from there, that's where Gord created these poems and then decided that he wanted to bring these poems to life in song. And Kevin, the thing that I was so touched by in seeing the second Secret Path show was the honor and respect with which you carried Gord's legacy and the story and Chani Wenjack's story. It was, yeah, so powerful to witness.
I have endless amounts of respect for Gord and really love the work he was trying to do and connect with it. And I've learned a lot through my association with the project and made some amazing friends. After the Coke Machine Glow, a few years later, I became friends with Kevin Drew, and I was on tour with the Bare Naked Ladies in 2013, I believe, or 14. But we were in Kingston, and Kevin invited me to the Bathhouse. Kevin Drew is the lead singer of Broken Social Scene, but he also co-wrote and co-produced the wonderful record, The Secret Path.
Yeah.
And he also did the Tragically Hip's last record and this record, Introduce Yourself, which is another Gord Downey beautiful record. But so I took a car from the venue in Kingston to the Bathhouse and sort of got to spend a day in the environment where the Secret Path music was being created. And I think I played piano on one song. But at that time, I really felt immediately that it was special music. And apart from everything that's attached to it, this, you know, the stories and the fundraising, etc., which is all wonderful and important, but it's an amazing work of art.
Yes.
And you know, as far as the performances, when Gord was there and we did the Secret Path shows, you couldn't help but be sort of drawn in and pondering the reality of what he was going through as he was telling the story of Cheney. He was near the end of his life, and you know, everyone was in awe of him because he was so inspiring, and yet it was so tragic and moving. And you know, when he wasn't there, when we restaged the Secret Path show, it was really the strength and quality of the work and the message that it really shone through, I believe, in the restaging of it, which is what he wanted ultimately.
Yeah, the story is carried on. And, you know, with the work of the Gordani and Chani Wenjack Fund, we've brought that story to over 1,500 schools across Canada as well. And then that night, there were over 2,000 people in Roy Thompson Hall who got to hear again Gord's songs and sung by so many different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Kev Drew still there? Maybe we could ask him if he has a
Where is
story.
Kevin Drew?
He called
I was
in.
so confused. We had multiple Kevins in the broadcast studio here, and I didn't know which one to bring in. Kevin Drew, if you're still watching on YouTube, feel free to click that link and we'll bring you in. But I don't see him on this link right now.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Well, maybe I should. I'd like to sort of walk through the event that we did last October and sort of talk about some of my favorite memories and moments and how things came about. And if you have any questions,
I would love that. Yeah. And so if anyone has a question, feel free to post it on either, we're broadcasting right now on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook Live. If you're hosting a watch party and you're a part of the watch party, you need to go to the original broadcast page to post your question, and I'll bring them forward for Kevin.
Cool.
Yeah. So tell us about it. How was that night for you?
You know, one of the first things that happened, I was at a fundraiser for my friend Dave Bedini's. Oh, are you there, Audra?
Yeah, I was just getting pictures ready. Sorry, I didn't think it would come up. Go ahead.
I was at a fundraiser for Dave Bedini's paper, the West End Phoenix, and I ran into Mike Downey. And I told him, we really have to keep this work on the radar, and we should restage the Secret Path and get the band back together. And that was sort of the beginning of it. And I had to call Kevin Drew because I really wanted it to be the full original Secret Path band. And so Kevin was my first call, and I'm really happy that he was a part of it, and because he's really at the heart of a lot of the record. And then, you know, Buffy St. Marie was the first artist to come on board as a guest. And when that happened, I knew it was really going to be a special evening. And I believe she's on the board, right, of the Wenjack Fund.
Yeah, she is.
So that filled the tank, you know. About halfway, we're ready to go. So kudos to her. And
she's amazing. I think I might have a photo. Let me see. There's a great picture here of her. There, see that? I don't know if I can go full screen.
Oh yeah, that's her and yeah, William Prince, right?
Yeah. And William, you sang a song with William during the show as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it's amazing. We had these artists who wanted to be a part of this, but the way we sort of went about it is we didn't want to tell people what songs to do. Even though you know, we had songs that we knew would be a good fit. As soon as I heard William Prince's voice, to hear him sing the song "Sun," that's just the song I felt would really resonate. But I didn't tell him that. I sort of told everyone we'd love to know what song resonates with you from the record. And he immediately said "Sun." So it was perfect. And funnily enough, every artist really did the song that they chose. I think one artist, it was their second pick, but for the most part, everyone did the song they wanted to do. And so you had all these people so talented, and it was very harmonious and a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it really was.
And
The performance of Sun was so powerful. I'm having issues with my computer here. Obviously, I need when we're not socially isolated, I'll put in a job application or a position description for a tech to help me on the background because I can't seem to do two things at once. There was some great comments here as well about Secret Path. Matt Hubbard made a comment of how great the album is.
yeah.
And he was also wondering what synthesizer you used on the album.
Oh gosh, that would be a question for Dave Hamlin. Yeah. I just played a bit of piano on one track. Kevin Drew played a lot on it too. He might know. He played a lot of piano on it. There's the engineer, Niles too. He should be mentioned. I think he's often unsung, but he had a lot to do with these great records too.
Absolutely. So tell me a bit more about that night when you, William Prince, that was definitely a moment.
Yeah, you mentioned William Prince, and it reminds me of the other song we did, which I think is what you were asking about. But the first Secret Path shows, we really focused on the story and the wonderful animation by Justin Stevenson. But on this night, I wanted it to be not just Gord's songs, but other stories from people, non-Indigenous and Indigenous, and also from the past. So I thought there's this record I really love called, it's a collection called Native North America. And if you haven't heard this, anyone, it's just an amazing collection of music. And there's a song called I Pity the Country by Willie Dunn. And I asked William Prince, who I'd never met, if he knew that song. And he said, "Oh, I love Willie Dunn and I love that song." And so I asked if he would perform it. And he said yes, and asked if I'd accompany him. So that's always a hard word for me to say.
Accompany, yeah. Yes. I'm trying to see if I can find the image of it. There's a great picture as well. Yeah.
And William Prince's voice just transports you to another place.
Yeah.
When I heard him sing in rehearsal, it reminded me of when I sometimes hear Gordon Lightfoot's voice. It just has this rich oakiness to it. I don't know. I loved it. So that was one of my favorite moments of the show, just playing accordion with William.
Oh, it was so beautiful. There was also a moment for me, the show, what was so incredible wasn't just like this, the second half had all this music. It was the Secret Path album played from start to finish. And it was so powerful hearing Gord's songs sung by some of his closest friends and Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists. But the beginning, the first half of the show, took me on an emotional journey I wasn't even expecting, Kevin. And it really, I think, is a testament to, again, that honor with which you held the story. You understood that there was more to be brought forward than just the album. It was actually telling a much bigger story for everyone there.
Yeah, they're all different stories that are all connected, you know. And I, I'd like to. We opened the whole event with Chief Stacy LaForme, uh, who I was introduced to by Valerie and Chief Perry Beldegard. And he started the night with a poem from his book
Mm.
called Living in the Tall Grass, Poems of Reconciliation. And I'd like to read the poem he read, if that's okay.
I would love that.
Okay.
While you do that, I'm going to
Yeah.
take myself off the screen so I can find those photos for you. But yes, please
Okay.
read that poem for us.
Okay. This is called Prayer. We give thanks to the Creator for allowing this gathering. We ask that He guide us and forgive us when we falter and disappoint. For though we aspire to greatness, we are, after all, only human. Grant us a clear mind, a pure heart, and courage. A clear mind to make well thought out, intelligent decisions. A pure heart to make decisions that are without personal bias or desire. And the courage to use both a clear mind and a pure heart in our lives. Let us set aside small differences. Let us concentrate on the real issues. Let us not be bogged down in rhetoric. Let us live each day with a feeling of accomplishment and pride. Most important, let us remember we are not enemies, nor are we adversaries. We share a similar past, a kindred spirit, and a common heritage. We must always remember the real reason we gather, to do the right thing for our people, for our children, for our future. And that's Chief Stacy LaForme.
So powerful. So
And so
powerful.
that, yeah, it was a beautiful way to start the night. And then, of course, Cheney's sisters, Pearl and Daisy, came on stage and greeted everyone. And Pearl sang her prayer song.
Yeah.
And of course, to have them involved and connected to it is so important.
I have an image here.
Oh, there's Chief Stacy.
Yes, it's Chief
Yeah.
Stacy LaForme. I'll see if I'm able to scroll through. And the Downey brothers.
It was funny, Chief Stacy. He said, Kevin, should I do 2 poems or 3? I said, oh, I think 2 would be great. And he did 3.
Sounds fair. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he was just enjoying it, and great.
Oh, that's
Oh,
wonderful.
and
That's
who's that? There's Mike and Pat and Pearl.
yes.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a really powerful moment as well. And what
yeah.
about this one? Tell me,
Okay,
this
this
was
is
such an incredible performance.
yes, this is my friend Lori Blondeau, and she came out next and restaged her performance piece, which is called "Are You My Mother," which was sorry, just looking for my note here because I did want to say it right. It was first performed in 2002 as a way to process her mother's experiences at residential school. And it's a very powerful piece. And I think a lot of people came to this event expecting mostly music, but this was really raw and heavy and poignant. And she's sort of transformed the piece into a celebration of resilience. And I really feel that this moment anchored the show and set the real tone of it. That sort of said, this is what the night's about. Yes, it's going to be entertaining and beautiful, but there's something serious to consider here and remember as we move forward with the conversation.
Yeah, that's so true. The spoken word, and as she sat there and was whittling away behind the wire, it was
Yeah,
impactful.
she was whittling away, I believe it was cedar branches.
Yeah.
And it might have been Poplar. Lori, if you're listening, let me know if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. But it was trying to get across the notion that when you were in these schools, the smell was awful. It was the furthest thing from their home. And when someone would come visit, they might bring a branch and it would remind them of home, the smell of the trees.
Yeah. You know, for anyone who was there, if you were at the show, let us know. There's a few comments here. There was one from Bethany that she talked about how it was one of the few life-changing events and a moment in her journey of allyship. And I think, you know, moments like that where the story is told in such a powerful way just something that you don't forget easily. There's a couple of questions here about where people can see the concert. Unfortunately, we don't have the full concert up, but there are a few videos and clips that we may be sharing, including one to keep an eye out for tomorrow of a song that Buffy St. Marie sang or led us all in at the end called We Are Circling.
That's right.
Yeah, we have a great video of that.
Cool. Yeah, something I learned from Chief Perry was that there are 4 steps to reconciliation, and they are awareness, education, understanding, and action.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I feel doing this show was another action, and it's a good way of keeping the conversation going. And you mentioned the documentary. We won't get into that yet, but at a Q&A, someone asked me about the action step, like what is an action? And for me, it's really just trying to understand the perspective and understand the experience of a people you can't understand what they've been through unless you hear them and listen to them and listen to their stories. This book called The Inconvenient Indian by Thomas King was a huge step for me. I've got to say it really opened my eyes in a life-changing way. Another book that I love is My Conversations with Canadians by Lee Miracle.
Yeah.
And one of the experiences we had at the first Secret Path event with Gord was before the show, we were welcomed into a healing ceremony. And there was quite a large group of residential school survivors there telling their stories. And that changed my life. There were people crying and sobbing, but they were taking strength in each other. And I really think if every Canadian could experience something like that, you know, where they talk to someone who's been affected by the residential school system, it would do wonders. Anyhow, I'm blathering on. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
it's wonderful. You know, especially like reminiscing over that time because it was so powerful, and it's those moments that change our lives. I have a friend here on deck for you who also shared that experience with you. Let me bring him in.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi,
Josh.
Josh.
Hey, sorry, Kev.
How you
Audra,
doing, buddy?
I can't hear Audra. I can see you.
Oh,
I
you
can't
can't hear
you
me?
for some reason, but I can hear Kevin. Am I
Oh,
doing something wrong?
no, it's okay. I can take myself right out.
Can you hear me, Josh?
I can hear you, Kev. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
You can't
Audra,
hear
I
me.
can't
I'm
hear.
just.
when Audra speaks, I will be Audra's voice. Okay.
All right.
Well, let me just say this.
Fingers.
Let me just say this briefly.
Uh,
So hand up, I'm talking. Josh Binlacid. Josh is also an amazing musician, was part of the original Secret Path band, played with Kevin Hearn in that project the first time with Gord Downey and again in October. And Josh is also one of our artist ambassadors. Josh and I went to a school in Dundas, Ontario. last year sometime, and he shared a lot about Gord's story there. So thank you, Josh, if you can hear me. If not, I'll kick myself out of the conversation if you two want to reminisce.
Yeah, we'll chat for a bit.
All right.
Josh, she was just mentioning that you went to Dundas, Ontario together to visit the school.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a Montessori school there. A friend of ours, a friend of mine, Chris Marks, teaches there, and we went up there. They were had been teaching and using the Secret Path as a teaching tool for their students. And I've known Chris for many years. I met him. He was a recording engineer, and met him probably 30 years ago, and yeah, and he became a Montessori teacher probably about 5-7 years or so, and so that was great. It was a great day with Audra.
Did anything that happened during your interaction, with the students or the school, make an impression?
Well, there's a number of parents there as well. I remember realizing that because of where we were in Dundas, it was all on First Nations territory as well. I remember that leaving an impression on me. I mean, as everything is, um, I just remember how sort of dialed in the students were, and how engaged they were, and my limited experience being around young people when they hear this story is just how engaged they are with it and interested they are, and it just seems like there's a, there's a real connection with the story.
Yeah, I think
And
a lot of that to do is with the fact that Cheney was their age,
yes,
and they can probably really imagine what it must have been like for them.
mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
And what about any memories you want to share from either of the Secret Path?
Yeah, there was a one in particular last fall, the show we did. I mean, of course, I could tell lots of stories, but I was thinking about this before I called in, and I was thinking about what a huge thrill it was to meet Buffy St. Marie, and to I've told this story to anyone that can bear listening to me. I we Buffy came in to the rehearsal, and immediately wanted Kevin and I to go into a private area to run the song. She was singing "The Stranger," the first song, and she wanted to go back. She had run the song a bunch, and she had learned it, but it's a lot of Gord songs can be tricky to sing, and
They're
and
often in alternate tunings too, right?
yeah, and this one it was a funky tuning. And anyway, so we went back and we sat with her for probably about an hour, and we talked for, I'd say, a good half hour initially, and she was asking us about Gord and our friendship with Gord, and offering her condolences, and I just remember thinking, wow, like she was so grounded and so incredibly connected with people, and I just was so impressed with that, and impressed with her the whole few days that we spent around her, and just how confident she was, and she knew exactly what she wanted and how she wanted things, and she did it in a way that wasn't um, you know patronizing or demeaning to anyone. She was very she knew what she wanted, and afterwards, the experience was so profound, and it was such a thrill to meet her and just make that connection and play music with her, which is always, when you're a musician, it's one thing to meet someone that you admire or someone famous, but when you get to play music with them and you share that experience, it's a bond that you kind of have forever. But there was a great quote that I read of hers that I wanted to share. It was it's better to light a candle than to curse at the darkness. And I just thought, wow, what sort of sage words to live by. And she just seemed so positive, and someone that's clearly had to deal with a lot in her life, but still maintain such a positive outlook on life.
I agree. Yeah, she feels she has that energy of experience, and yet she's very youthful as well, and just fun, great sense of
Yeah,
humor, and yeah.
and mischievous and kind of humorous, everything, like she wasn't like one dimensional. She was multi-dimensional, and just, but like, what a force, like she came out to sing The Stranger, like she started the show, as in terms of the Secret Path songs. We did that, and then we did her song,
You Gotta Run.
You Gotta Run, and that was
Yeah, with Tanya Tagaq.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Johnny Fay and Paul Langlois came and joined us, and that was really heavy and really awesome.
Yeah, actually,
Amazing.
we were talking about Laurie Blondeau before.
I heard that. Yeah.
And Laurie was actually the one who asked if her performance could segue into the Wheat Kings.
Right.
And that's sort of how that came about. And I asked her why she chose that song, and she said, well, it's a song about injustice in the prairies. And whether it's injustice towards an Indigenous person or non-Indigenous, injustice is still injustice. And so she felt it fit thematically with the evening. And it was also a beautiful way to bring in Johnny Fay and Paul Langlois, and Sarah Harmer sang it with us too. And I remember, Josh, when we were in rehearsals, you said something that you just reminded me of, in that this event, The Secret Path, on October 19th last year, was sort of the first opportunity for a lot of peers of Gord's to get together in a creative way and celebrate him and sort of have a healing process.
Yeah, and honor it. Well, yeah, very much honor Gord, the Downey family, and of course the Wenjack family as well. Like that was it was, on many fronts, on a number of fronts, it was an opportunity to share that, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Just as a side note, we are trying to get Buffy St. Marie on one of these interviews as well for DWF Live, and it'll be really nice to let her know that she has had such an impact, not just on the people who would have been watching from the audience, but for everyone that was on stage with her as well.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's awesome. I can hear you now, Audra.
Pardon me, Josh?
I can hear you now.
That's wonderful news. There's a few questions here that I'd like to pop up. And then, Josh, I understand from Kevin's management that he needs to go right at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And I do want to get us some music from Kevin, but I wanted to just invite you. If you want to stick around, I can always bring you back in after Kevin goes if you want to chat a bit more or play some songs.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to do whatever.
We would love that. Why don't you stay on deck? Grab a guitar if you don't mind. I feel like I know you well enough to ask you this. I hope it's okay.
But you got the gig, Josh. You got the gig.
I'm hired.
Perfect. So everybody stay tuned. Josh Bindlayson will be back at 8 o'clock. But thanks for the chat. It's been great.
Nice to see you, Josh.
Likewise, Kev.
Kevin, that's so fun. Somebody here was saying that they like that. Where'd that comment go? Love this. It's the Kevin Hearn show. I love that.
The Kevin Hearn show.
Yeah. And also there's some comments here from our legacy school teachers and people who have been sharing it at schools, which is awesome. Marcel was saying they share it with the grade 6 students every year, amazed and moved by Channy's story, which is incredible. There was someone also asking about the book. So your book recommendations, they would love if I could get a list from you later, and we'll post in the comments so people can look at the book or decide to look up those books if they choose to. That'd be
wonderful.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple other little questions and comments here. I found this really interesting. Like, as you know, Kevin, I spent 10 years in Australia, And Glenn Lavender here says, hi from Australia. There's so many parallels to the residential schools to the lost generations. So the stolen generation in Australia, very similar policy to the residential school policy in Canada. And the secret path is a wonderful testament. It's a tool that can be used in different countries with that history of colonization and putting students into that school system. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, a big part of this was that this is a history we were never taught as kids in schools. And it really needs to be taught in schools.
Yeah, really does.
Well, thanks for your comment from Australia.
Yes, there's so many other comments too.
Let's see some more.
Look, this just shows that music is truly the universal language. No barriers, no race, no hate. Thank you for your work and connections and messages for the future.
You know, I was thinking Gord's Secret Path project, as much as it was shining a light on the past and Cheney's story, it was also trying to steer towards a better future.
Yeah, that's right. Moving forward together. And, you know, he said something along the lines of, it took 150 years to get us into this mess. And it'll take a long time to get us out, right? And it's how we move together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another comment here. That evening in October was one of the most emotionally charged performances I've ever attended. I was so honored to be in attendance.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. I agree. I agree. It was so powerful. And there was a question earlier, Kevin, asking what your favorite song is on the album.
Oh, that's hard to pick. I love the whole record, but the song that immediately hit me was Seven Little Matches, which, you know, I'd love to play that one if I'm going to play a song or two.
Please, yeah, are you by your piano?
I can be.
Yeah. Can you also show us, I know people might be interested because I know the room you're in is pretty special.
Yeah, this is the room where we rehearsed The Secret Path.
Wow.
It had already been recorded, but when we wanted to set out to put it on the live stage, I told Gord that, you know, the band could come to my living room for a few days and we'd work up the songs, and then we'd go to a proper rehearsal space and we'd be ready for him, basically. But he didn't want to miss a second of it. So the first day we set up here, he was here. And then he said, Kevin, I don't want to leave here. I'm comfortable here and I love it. And so this was sort of Gord and the band's clubhouse for a few weeks. And, you know, Gord sat right here on the couch. That was his spot. And we go upstairs to the roof when we take a break and just sit quietly in the sun. And I think he really enjoyed the camaraderie and the creative energy and sort of the solace he found here.
Yeah.
So let me know if you can see me okay. And gosh, how did I prop this up before? Oh, why did I move that? Oh gosh. Oh man, this is another great record, another great Indigenous artist, John Trudell. Have you ever heard of him?
I think you told me about him last time we talked.
Oh, Graffiti Man, what a great record. Okay. Sorry for the wobbliness, folks.
All right. I think so. I'm going to take myself out so people can hear you.
Here's Seven Matches by Gord Downey. She gave me matches, 7 little wooden matches. She put them into a small slim glass jar with a screw top lid. I fingered that jar, I put it in my pocket. She said, can't go into the woods without them. I smiled at her and left. I kept them dry. And as long as there were 6, I'd be fine. As long as there were 5 matches in a jar, mile after mile, on the chick, 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 chick sound of the matches and the memory of her smile. I kept them dry, and as long as there were 5, I'd be fine. As long as there were 4 matches in the jar, with the screw top lid. I know she did not mean to hurt my feelings, but that's what she did. I kept them dry, and as long as there were 3, I'd be fine. As long as there were 2 matches in the jar.
Wow.
There we go.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That was amazing.
Thanks. Shall I do another one?
Sure, we'd love that. We have a few minutes and
Okay, here's one. I want to do that song that we performed with Buffy St. Marie. It's called We Are Circling. I have a bit of a cheat sheet here. I'm trying to find a place for it. Hang on, Audra. I'll be right back.
No problem. I'll just let everyone know as Kevin gets his cheat sheet sorted. That song that Buffy St. Marie led everyone in and round. It was the last song of the evening. And We Are Circling is going to be released. We have a special video of the performance from Secret Path Live last year. We would love for you to share it. I'm going to post it either this evening or tomorrow morning. Share it far and wide because it just really shows the power of coming together in around music, storytelling to bring awareness and to the truth that happen in this country and help us move forward in a good way. So very excited to share that soon. But first, the world premiere from Kevin Hearn.
Thanks, Audrey.
There you go.
We are circling, circling together. We are singing, singing our hearts on. This is family, this is unity, this is celebration, this is sacred. We are spiraling, spiraling together, onward, inward, creature to creation, holy mystery, Mother Earth, childbirth. This is Mother Nature, this is sacred. We are spinning, spinning all together. We are singing over the rainbow. This is harmony, this is community, this is celebration, this is sacred. are ripening, ripening together. Babies, elders, bozos, and angels. This is how we grow. This is how we get to know. This is family. This is sacred. We are circling, circling together. We are singing, singing our heart song. This is family, this is unity, this is celebration, this is sacred. We are circling, circling together. We are circling, circling together. We are circling.
Yeah, that's great,
Great
Kevin.
song.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I wish I could keep you longer and hear more music from you, but I know you have another call. There's a very cheeky comment here. Full disclosure, this is my dad. So
Thanks.
yeah, it should be in a band. The funny thing is, my dad here actually was the one who took me to my very first concert, which happened to be the Bare Naked Ladies
Oh, that's funny.
at the Thunder Bay Community Auditorium. So I am having a fangirl moment, of course.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
What time?
Kevin, thank
Oh,
you
it's
so much for your time. If you had a few moments, we'd love you to play one more song, but I do know you need to go.
Let's do one more song.
Okay. You can let your manager get mad at you. That was fully an autonomous decision there.
There's a song
What
I
are you gonna
recorded
play
with.
for us?
This is a song I recorded with Bare Naked Ladies called "Let There Be Light in Your Life Again," and I think it's a good song for right now. Kind of hopeful. You're looking. Oh, wait a sec. Sorry. Sorry, I was in the wrong key. You're looking down at the ground. Your plants are in tatters. No time to lose. You gotta choose what really matters. And let there be light in your life again. Such rotten luck. I mean, really, what were the chances? Let's make no sound. Let's lie on the ground and look up through the branches. And let there be light in your life again. Cheap souvenirs, won't you help me clear out all of this clutter? So many tears for so many years. Why lose another? Let there be light in your life again. When your heart is heavy and you're alone, feeling lost in the honeycomb, you can call me, you can call me, you can call me. I'm at home. I'm not going anywhere. Neither you, neither are you. So give me a call. 967-1111. There's so much darkness, so much bizarreness and commotion. Your shipwrecked dream may be at the bottom of the ocean. Let there be light in your life again. Let there be light in your life again. Again. Again.
Kevin, that's so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks,
I have a
everyone.
couple really special comments to share with you before you go.
Okay.
So Harriet tuned in.
Hi, Harriet.
Said only one of the sisters, so this is Channy Wenjack's sisters, only one of the sisters are on Facebook. I talked to Aunt Pearl that you were on tonight, and she was so happy to hear. And there's another comment. I'm trying to find it.
Harriet, please give my love to everyone, and Pearl
Yeah.
especially. Thank you.
Says that song reminds me of my mom's 7 grandsons. My son is the 7th. I think that's when you played the 7 matches.
Cool.
And there's one more from her. Where did it go? Where did it go?
Harriet.
Harriet, thank you for tuning in. And for everyone who's been tuning in, this beautiful.
Thanks, Harriet.
Thank you, Harriet. And thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Audra. Thanks. It was nice. I had fun.
Really nice. And you know, everyone who, that's the beautiful thing about coming together like this, is we're still connecting, and we're connecting our hearts to the story and to each other and walking forward in a good way. So thank you for continuing to do the work that you do, and for still, you know, helping to hold the light on the story and on Gord's legacy, and for all of us to continue to learn and grow together and hopefully make this country a better place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for those who haven't seen Secret Path, there's a wonderful documentary that you can find. Just put it into YouTube or go on to CBC and you'll find it there. And we are going to be sharing, we are circling on our socials, so please share that and inspire others. And again, huge thanks, Kevin. There's so much love for you coming through on the comments. People are just so grateful that you were part of our evening tonight.
You know,
And
Audra, Gord's dedication on the Secret Path record was for the place called Canada, past, present, future, all of us. I think that sums it up.
it really does.
Cool. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
Kevin.
me. Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Welcome. Bye. I'm going to bring Josh into our stream now, who's been so generous with his time to come back in and just keep the conversation going. Feel free to add some more comments or questions for Josh as well. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
Thank you for your patience and for coming and joining us.
Enjoying listening to Kevin play. I was playing
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, it was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was.
Yeah. Now, I apologize. I mispronounced your last name earlier, but it's Josh Finlayson, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
No.
I said Finlayson when I first did it, but my apologies. But for anyone tuning in or who might have not met Josh before, he's in a fantastic band called Sky Diggers, but was also a very big part of the Secret Path project, the Secret Path live concerts that Gord originally put on, and then was part of restaging the concert in 2019 in October as part of Secret Path Week and bringing all these incredible artists together on stage. I just wanted to share, because I saw that there was this email here from Kevin. If I can just pop this in for a second here. You can see there's a picture he shared of him and Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there might be one of you. Oh, there's Gord.
Yeah, that's at Kevin's place. That's during
Yeah.
the Yeah.
Oh yeah, younger again.
There's Lou Reed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with the Wenjack sisters.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow.
Cool.
Great. Wonderful.
Charlie and
Thanks for
Kevin.
those, Kevin. Yeah, there's so many more in here too. Now tell us about, in your experience of that concert. I mean, it was so wonderful to hear the two of you reminisce of playing Secret Path live that second time in 2019. How did it feel? How was it different from the first time, but also how was it the same?
Well, I guess the material made it similar. Um, and I think, I mean, obviously, Gord not being there was the big difference. And having the different singers was, gave it a different feel. And everyone brought something cool to the songs. I thought that was I really, you don't know what to expect necessarily because you prepare, but everyone has their own spin or their own take on this stuff. But everyone was so prepared and just so they wanted to honor Gord and honor Shani and the Wenjack family. I mean, I would say the big difference now in retrospect was when we, Gord's illness made his memory was quite compromised from the operations that he had and from the illness that he had. So his ability to remember, his short-term memory was not what it was. I mean, Gord's memory was one of the things that was so incredible about him, whether it was people that he had met or remembering lyrics or remembering, facts or stories or anything. And I know that leading up to the show, we would rehearse the song twice in a row, and sometimes he'd forget cues but in the end, it kind of went off without a hitch. The 3-4 shows that we did. But that initial, certainly the first show in Ottawa, leading up, Kevin told the story about the welcoming, the healing ceremony that we were a part of, and with all the residential school survivors, and we were in Algonquin territory, and they were welcoming the Wenjack family into their territory, and it really was an incredibly powerful ceremony to participate in and to witness. Kevin's right. I mean, I think if everyone had the opportunity to experience something like that, they would have a very different perspective on so many things about First Nations culture. But it was quite heavy and quite profound, and of course the show was also very heavy. I mean, it's not a feel good kind of it's not feel good material. But I think that ceremony really kind of set us in, or for me anyway, speaking for myself, it really set us on a great sort of path to deliver that show. It kind of, I felt it really focused us, or focused me anyway. And so when we did the second show last fall, there was really less pressure as far as, can we do this? Are we, will Gord remember lyrics? Will we remember cues? Are we, it was so intense, incredibly intense. And it didn't feel that way. And it really felt like a great way to be honoring Gord and Shannon last fall. Like that was sort of the takeaway. It just didn't feel as intense because of the reasons that I described.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Um, There's some love for you coming through in the comments here. Listen to this.
Billy
Billy
Ray.
Ray. Gord's first friend in Toronto, one of the kindest people you'll meet.
Look at Billy. Thank you, Billy. Love you.
Yeah, that's so nice. Great question here too. Were there challenges in transferring the Secret Path music to a live setting, especially with the video images?
Well, I mean, I think those challenges were all from a technical perspective. They were all dealt with by all the technicians, the sound and visual technicians that were there. They did such an incredible job. Both shows was, there was a lot of moving parts to the show. There was a lot of cues that we had to recognize and watch. We were often watching the shows for cues. Like I know, for instance, the show started. The Stranger was the first song, and there was a verbal cue or a written cue. That's where I had to start it when that came up. I had to wait a couple of beats and then start into the song, and then Gord started singing that song. So there were specific cues but we rehearsed. All the technical crew were so incredible, and made our life quite easy for going up and playing it. I think we all felt very prepared for it, but I think the one unknown was it was a very heavy and intense show, and Gord's health was something that we were all sort of unaware of. But of course, as always, he came through and sort of led the way.
Yeah. About a week or so ago on these DWF live sessions, I actually had an interview with Justin Stevenson. So Justin was the animator. So Gord created Secret Path, which became a graphic novel illustrated by Jeff Lemire. And then Justin brought those illustrations to life for the documentary and then into the live setting. And he talked even about how in a live setting, approaching it a bit differently than you would, similar to how you'd record an album and then bring it onto stage. There might be ways that you interpret the music differently because you can take people on that journey. And so even from the technical aspect, there was a lot there. And yeah. Oh, there's some more love for you. Thanks, Jen. Hi, Jen. So true. Yeah. Oh, everyone here. It's really nice to get these comments and feedback, everybody. Thank you so much. And Josh, now it's no surprise for people to say those things about you. I mean, I remember meeting you, and we went as part of the Legacy Schools program, went to that school in Dundas, the Montessori school, and you shared with such humility about your involvement in Secret Path and yeah, understanding the land that we were on and everything you shared earlier with Kevin too.
Yeah.
Very cool time. Very good. What in this time that you're in now, I know for a lot of artists, it's been a time of a lot of contemplation. Is there anything you've been working on or that you've been finding in this time of quarantine and isolation?
I've been washing my hands a lot. I guess as a touring musician, the transition from being out and touring and then coming home and sometimes having periods at home where you kind of have to come up with your own schedule and your own discipline. And I haven't really found this overly challenging. And I live in Toronto. I live in Hyde Park, and I'm 2 blocks away from a big park, and I can walk. I walk a couple of times a day, so and the weather's been pretty good. And so from that perspective, I don't feel like my life has changed super dramatically. I mean, I think my thoughts kind of go more towards people that are a bit more marginalized, that live paycheck to paycheck, or live in a city like Toronto where it's very, or anywhere, not just Toronto, but where if you don't have money for rent or money for food. I mean, what happens to these people? And yeah, I feel and think about that a lot.
And some people, one of our other artist ambassadors was drawing attention to the fact that some First Nations communities that are already in a lot of struggle, that something like this, a pandemic, is even harder to deal with. So some of our First Nations communities in Canada still don't have clean water.
Mm-hmm.
So washing your hands a lot
Mm-hmm.
is a greater challenge if you don't have water to do it with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely been thinking about people who are in different and more challenging circumstances. Yeah. There's a nice comment here from Penny. She says, the Skydiggers are amazing. Your contribution to this project was a beautiful matchup. This album was like being able to eat all of my favorite kinds of ice cream in one dish. That's awesome. I'm wondering if you have some ice cream to share with us tonight. Would you play us a song?
Sure, I'll play it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is a song called Horseshoe Bay. You're a long way from North Vancouver. You're a long way from home. A long way from the choices you made so long ago. Is that what's haunting you? As you stare out on the Horseshoe Bay. I'm a long way from North Toronto. I'm a long way from home. A long way from the choices I made so long ago. Is that what's haunting me? As I'm stuck in traffic near King and Bay. 'Cause all we're proving is we're bound for losing all we gain. All we're proving is we're bound for losing everything. We're a long way from where we started. We're a long way and can't find home. A long way from the choices we made so long ago. And we're holding on. 'Cause love will keep those fears at bay. All we're proving is we're bound for losing all we gain. All we're proving is we're bound for losing everything.
Yes. Thank you, Josh. That's beautiful. There's a great question here from Bethany. Oh, wrong one. Why did that happen? Here we go. Sorry, technical. Hi, Josh.
Given what?
What would you say right now to aspiring musicians who want to use their art to further reconciliation?
Well, I guess if you want to tell stories, you want to share stories, you want to yeah, it's a great question. I mean, Gord set the bar pretty high. But I think just what Kevin said earlier about what is what is it to reconcile? What is it? What do you, I think, one of my big takeaways from the Secret Path experience was how important listening is, and not offering an opinion. Like just listen, just shut the fuck up and listen to what other people are saying, because that's really truly important. And if you listen and you hear these stories, maybe that will filter its way out through your, whatever creative outlets you use.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Great wisdom and advice. We had, I've spoken to a few different artist ambassadors, and it was Ian Compo, formerly of A Tribe Called Red, and DJ Indian. He had got picked up by the National Speakers Bureau, and he talks about being an ally. And he says pretty much what you just said there. He said the first step is to listen, like basically shut the F up, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then do what you're told to do.
That's sometimes hard for musicians, but listening is important. It's important for everyone, because I do find and I do find this the difference between the culture and the First Nations culture and in the settler culture, is that more often than not we're eager to share an opinion or share, when we probably should be listening and not saying anything, because sometimes that's much more impactful than having the need to say something or share something. So that was a good lesson. And I'm just thinking this right now as we're talking, because I noticed Harriet was had a couple of questions for Kevin, and I wanted to give a shout out. I don't know if he's listening or not, but Harriet's brother Greg Monroe, who I stay in touch with once in a while, and we text, and that's been a really great thing to take away from this experience, as well as maintaining that connection.
There's another amazing comment here from Harriet, actually. She says, the Secret Path Band will always hold a special place in my heart, because, like I told Kevin, I could close my eyes and I know where my Uncle Channy was on his journey home. I don't see with my eyes, I see with my heart. And my heart hears strength, resilience, and love that kept him walking.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you, Harriet. It's beautiful. I actually have another friend from the Secret Path Band on deck.
Great.
Should I just invite him in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's good. This party could go all night. Kev, we need your camera on, buddy. Kevin Drew, ladies and gentlemen, a broken social scene of other infamy and shenanigans, I'm sure. So good to have you here, Kev.
This is lovely. This is, I just saw two hawks going to the tree, and I thought, I got to get on.
Amazing. If you want, I'll kick myself off for a bit. It seems like my mic's feeding back. I'll let you two chat for a second.
Okay. Hi, Joshy.
Hey, how are you, Kevin?
Where's Kevy Hearn? Where's Kev at?
He had to leave. He had to. I think he had another. He had to go wash his hands. I think.
That was a lovely song.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. How are you? I'm assuming you're in Toronto, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm here, and I think the last few days were collectively across. There was just a very difficult vibe that went around, but I think it's getting harder as we get closer. So I hope that, with everything that's going on. What is this? What is this live stream? What's
okay? I'll come in and explain.
I don't know. Kev wrote me about
So
5
what
minutes
this is,
before he went on. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, yeah.
sure. I'm just going to mute your mic for a sec, only because it's feeding back into mine and people are getting the echo. But this is part of our DWF live sessions, the Artist Ambassador sessions. So thanks to RBC Future Launch, we've been doing these sessions where we bring artists into the schools and they help to sponsor that program. Both Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists going into schools across Canada to have conversations to help forward reconciliation. And because we can't meet physically right now, we've been moving everything online, which has opened up a whole new opportunity and avenue for us to get together and to chat. And I mean, so Kevin Hearn invited Kevin Drew in to check out the feed, and here you are. So thankfully, Josh also came in and had a chat with us and played a song, and it's kind of this whole tag team, like revolving door of artists. So feel free to keep sending them our way. It's a real blessing to have both of you. Really, it's people have been so encouraged. I can see in all these comments, people are really inspired, and it's not only the work that you did on the record, it's not only the work that you did with Gord in bringing the story to the stage, but just continuing it on and being willing to have these conversations. It really does mean so much. So thank you both.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it's been great. Oh, look at this. Audrey, you are blowing my mind. Kevin and Josh and Kevin.
The Kevin sandwich.
Yeah.
Kevin sandwich. Well, right now you're in
KJ and
Josh.
K.
Yeah. I'd like to ask, just to pose a similar question to Kevin too, now that we have the second Kevin of the interview. Of, I asked Josh, what was similar about the restaging of Secret Path Live, and then what felt really different about it compared to when you first did the show with Gord, and then when we did the restaging with Indigenous and non-Indigenous guest artists?
Josh, I think you could say this too. The music stayed the same. It was just wonderful to play that again, was it not?
Yeah, very much so.
And I think just the spirit stayed the same as well. And having all these different artists come in, I'm always weary about the emotional side of it all, but it just was so wonderful. And I think what was different was just that even though the warmth and the spirit of Gord was there, it was just that he wasn't there. And that was really what was different about it. We played the same venue. I didn't feel that it was too long from when we did it. So we were able just to go right back into a moment while creating something new, while creating a new moment. Do you guys talk to Pearl? Like, does Pearl come on the show? I hope so.
We'd like to. We've had some comments from Harriet, and Harriet says hi.
Oh, give Harriet my love. That's amazing. Hi, Harriet. Yeah, I was thinking of I was just thinking about just what's going on right now and how that's affecting everyone and how I don't hear about it enough and what exactly is happening with the First Nations community in COVID-19. And I haven't completely watched our handsome goatee wearing Prime Minister speak all the time because I try to not watch everything so that I can have moments of being present and being optimistic about what we're coming out of. But how's that going?
Generally, are you asking for us to comment on the
Do we know?
state of the nation? I don't know if I can provide comment from the organization's point of view, but what I can definitely say is that their connectedness and the sense of being together in this has helped a lot of us, I think. In feeling that there's definitely been a lot of challenge in their First Nations communities, as we talked about before, and then of course urban Indigenous communities as well. And the more all of us can be better educated about not just the true history of residential schools and how that legacy continues on, but how we can continue to be aware of current issues that are affecting all of us and how they affect some people a little differently, and there's a bigger impact because of the situation they're in. So yeah, But yeah, it's really cool to be connected this way. And Josh, again, thank you for your song and for being willing to jump in. And
You're so welcome.
yeah, it's really good to see you again. And honestly, your humble heart from that first school visit was so evident just to anyone who meets you. And I know that you've been carrying that legacy on. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna jump. I'll take the chance to jump so you can hang with Kevin and Kevin.
Oh.
Sure. Yeah.
Great to see you, Kevin.
I see that. Josh, I love you. I miss you. And I hope everyone's safe.
Yeah.
In your
you
life.
too. All right.
Okay.
You,
You
Josh.
take care.
Bye.
Bye, Josh.
Audra, it's you and me. But
What's shaking, buddy?
Wow, let me tell you, you're an hour and 25 into this.
I know. It's just carrying on.
I should let you. I came very late. I should let you go. But I do want to say that there's these two hawks that I haven't seen since we played Secret Path in the fall, and Kevin Hearn lives 4 streets away from me, and we were in a bit of a. We were discussing the show, and some things were going to happen and some things weren't. And I was on the fence about something that was quite emotional to him, and it was quite emotional to me. And what were we going to do? And I walked outside to think about it one morning, and I saw these 2 hawks, and they were circling around my house, and then they went over to his house. And I called him. I said, "Go out on your balcony. There's 2 hawks that are surrounding us right now." And it made us make this decision about the show with Secret Path. And it was basically whether we played this song called The North. And it was such a spontaneous moment for Gordon and I on the Introduce Yourself record. And Kev had his voice, and they had footage, and they wanted me to play along to it. And I just didn't know how I was going to be able to do that. Because I only played that song really once into a recording, had Gord sing on it. So we decided to do it, and it was so beautiful to know that you guys were doing this tonight, and these 2 hawks came back. I have not seen them since that decision was made, and we were talking about Secret Path, and they arrived in the tree across from my street tonight, and I think that's just a beautiful thing, and I think that you should go now, and I will say good night to you and everyone, and I just wish nothing but safety, love, and more education towards all that is happening.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good night. And good night to everyone who's been tuning in. Thank you so much. We look forward to doing more of these sessions. You can tune in tomorrow as well at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll be speaking with Wesley Hardesty. Big thanks to Kevin Hearn, Kevin Drew, and Josh Finlayson for joining us this evening on what was originally a one-on-one interview, but it's been great to have you here. Thank you, Kev.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. Farewell.